I think firstly the Farlam Commission, appointed immediately after and currently still sitting, is going to be fundamentally important. It deals with the social as well as the industrial relations issues. We have to learn from that. That's the first. The second is the unions must take a very serious view of their relations with the rank and file on the mines. And then I think overall, between government and its relations with mining companies, there needs to be a rethink of how these things work out as well.
It's interesting you raise that point because President Zuma in the last week was suggesting there's going to be interventionist policies when it comes to the mining companies. Is that taking government stakes, which is something he ruled out in the past? Much tighter controls over what they can produce? What sort of wages they're going to pay? What does that mean?
Well, I think that since Marikana, one of the more immediate issues was Anglo American Platinum having announced the shutting down of a number of shafts and the shedding of 14,500 jobs. It's very disconcerting. It's very disconcerting because for the past 11 years or so we've had a new mining regime where mines actually are licensed to mine. Where they're sitting on licenses, surely the use it or lose it principle needs to come in. But I think that we shouldn't be shouting at the mines. There must be discussion about what the mutual expectations are, because beyond profitability, I think in a country like ours, there are enormous social obligations in business as well. And I think we must be able to talk through these issues so that we can establish a platform for communication between us.
It's an interesting point you talk about here about use or lose. Unemployment of 25%, going back to what the contract the government has with its people. You need foreign direct investment to foster this. Is this infrastructure build-out that you've talked about in the last few years, is it something you can afford, and that's something that jumpstarts employment and growth?
It can jumpstart employment and growth, but affordability is not immediate. Clearly we need to see a lot more of our savings invested with pension funds in the main, invested in the real economy. That begins to assume new responsibilities. I'm not suggesting for a moment that you won't have speculative activity, because all of us with something invested in those pension funds would desire the return. But I think there needs to be a discussion across the board about what we do in a country that actually is a saving-shy country, and also how we attract in investment from elsewhere to ensure that we can maximize the speed of delivery. We demonstrated ahead of FIFA 2010 that we can deliver a good quality infrastructure, but we need to be more constant in its delivery and ensure that we can avoid also the serious overpricing that did happen in the run-up to the World Cup in 2010.
Should we lower our expectations candidly about the economy? Now, you have Sub-Saharan Africa growing about 5.5%, but South Africa growing at 2.5%. You've creeped up in terms of per capita income. Is it almost approaching a middle income trap where you can't grow faster?
No, I think that what the National Development Plan puts on the table is in fact the prospect to move beyond the middle income trap, because that trap, I think, presents itself in a variety of ways. And the key issue for us now is to get through the human capital investment. And if there's been one enormous challenge for us, is that our schooling system has ill-equipped people for university education. Quantitative skills in schools has been pretty poor for the majority of South Africans. If we can deal with that issue in the short term, and it's very strongly on the agenda, the President, I'm sure, will raise it again in the State of the Nation address in mid-February. We need to turn around what happens in schools to ensure that we have a better skilled population, because that will be what drives change into the future.